easy question, I have to say.
Yes, ganyan na ganyan yung itsura niya.
Let's do it!
What the hell? Like, it's me. And you say, oh my God.
It was like, holy beep. What's going on? Because even now I get like speechless.
Why is it important for a beauty queen to have a good time?
You do not know how to speak your mind. You're not going to give your organization much credibility for what you're really fighting for.
Beauty queen doesn't mean perfection. Now I feel embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to do it because that's how I am. So that's gonna go.
My wave became the Miss International wave. Right, Stephen?
I have become a patent.
Ito naman yung bumaba. Sabi ko, oh my God, kasi na-starving ko ng planet Earth. Tapos pag inaangat ko, hinihila niya. So ako, angat siya. Hila.
My travels. I love my travels.
I would just want it to be that I gave something back that made them happy.
Money or love?
Love.
Good morning, everyone from Manila, and welcome back to a special episode of Missology Beauty Talks. And today we are joined on this special episode with Missology International Correspondent Amir. Hi, Amir.
Hi, Drew.
And our guest panelist, Miss International Marketing Manager and the creator of Missology's Big Five ranking, Stephen Diaz. Hi, Stephen. How are you?
Hello. Good morning. Almost noontime now here in Japan.
Yes, so wala nang patumpik-tumpik. Let's start our 69th Miss Universe National Costume Review. So this is the Miss Universe National Costume Show. Just concluded a few hours ago. And before we start discussing the costumes and the ladies that stood out for us during the National Costume Show, let's first discuss about the production. So, Stephen, as a pageant organizer yourself, what can you say about the production of the 69th Miss Universe National Costume Show?
Honestly, I have to commend the organization for being able to pull it through despite the, we all know that we are in a pandemic right now, and despite all the health protocols that they have to follow, they were able to push through with the national costume presentation. And it's one of the most important traditions of the Miss Universe beauty pageant. And same with the pageant that I am part of, Miss International. Like, you can take away any segment, but you could not take away the national costume presentation. So I am so glad that they were able to produce a very good show. And also, the stage is really huge, and I think that's going to be almost the same stage they're going to use for the final night as well. I'm totally satisfied with what they were able to present, to put on the table, and I'm so happy with the presentation. I'll dig into the specific details later on.
Yes. How about you, Amir? Amir, as an international correspondent, you've watched a lot of national costume presentations. What can you say about the flow of the program and the whole presentation?
Actually, Drew, no, same with Stephen, may okay in production. But the thing is, sometimes parang ganon, parang nagmamay, hindi ko tinay kung sino nagmamadali, the host or yung hindi ko alam. Pero yun medyo napansin ko lang. And then to some point, yung angle ng camera medyo hindi tumatiming minsan. Like the case of Nepal, ibubukas pa siya eh. So kaso hindi nakafocus na doon yung camera sa kanya. Medyo nawala yung attention doon, which is, for me, that is an important sa costume niya. Because may tinatago siya doon eh. She's keeping something, no? But the thing is, yun nga, hindi na focus din ng camera. So may konting lang doon, medyo hindi timing sa camera. But the overall naman, okay naman. You have to take note that this is pandemic, pandemic siya. But the thing, they were able to pull off the show. Pero may mga technical siguro na medyo, yung gaya ng paglabas, actually kagaya din nung, siguro dahil mga medyo mabibigat yung mga costumes, nahihirapan. So on timing, medyo nun lang. But
Okay.
it was
But I have to say that it's much better than the 2017.
Yes, definitely.
yeah, definitely the venue is huge. I like the venue, Steve. I agree with you. Kasi ito yon, ngayon kasi medyo they can able to express themselves. They can sway, they can move their costumes. Yeah, unlike nung 20 last year, sobrang ang hirap. Because as far as I can remember, may mga girls na tumatalon sa stage pababa, tapos biglang umakyat kasi nga mababangga na siya. I remember something.
Yeah, with Miss Ecuador and Miss
This
Ecuador,
time around,
I think.
yeah. And I think the candidates deserve kasi pinag-isipan lahat ng national costume. So, kailangan talagang bigyan ng
Yes.
emphasis bawat country. Pinag-isipan yan pinaghirapan. So, therefore, dapat bibigyan ng moment talaga yung bawat costume. Because
Yeah,
it's not only about costume. It's also about their culture, their tradition, their country itself.
Yeah, I think that is also one of the reasons why the Mrs. Universe organization is really determined to have a separate show just for the national costume itself, because a lot of money was invested, emotion as well, when it comes to the overall creation of one particular costume. So there's a lot of emotional investment, financial investment, a lot of time was invested as well, no matter which country they are representing. So it's also the same way of thought that we have at Miss International Organization, why we really wanted the national costume to be the first event in our pageant, because we understand that a lot of things are at stake, and they are so proud of representing their own heritage or country. And yes, so I really appreciate the effort that Miss International, the Miss Universe organization has done to just make this happen, and make us be entertained as well.
Yes. And now
Yeah, like
I'm sure yes, I'm sure a lot of the fans are very excited to discuss and review the national costumes that we've seen. But before we start, Stephen, as a longtime pageant historian, what is
Yeah.
the importance of a national costume show?
For me, this is just my personal opinion. Okay, when you are representing your country and you are going to wear your national costume, I think the most important thing there is once you get out of the stage, even though there is an explanation being narrated by the MC or something, the moment you're just out there, that should be your country. No need of further explanation, no need of further justification. The moment you are there, it's already understandable that that's you. Let's say that, for example, our country, Philippines. Once you are there, oh yes, that's Philippines. It's Japan, yes, that's Japan. No more paragraphs of explanation needed why you had to wear that costume, and why do you have to carry such a huge props, just to explain that is your country's costume. So I think the very essence of a national costume is to be able to represent your culture, your heritage, without further explanation. That's it.
And now, Amir, my question for you: what are your criteria in choosing the costumes that struck you the most? Your favorite ones?
Okay. That's actually difficult, but sometimes I'd really like to see the culture of the country. That the dress itself describes the culture, the heritage of the country. Just like what Stephen mentioned, and of course there's a statement there. For a costume, it should reflect the heritage, the culture of the country itself. Some you can see costumes which are some not identify what country it is. So basically, if you can see the costumes, you could easily identify which country it is. Just like what Stephen mentioned. And aside from that, it depends on the costume. If it's festive, then the girl should be like bubbly itself, enjoy itself. So, but the most important of all is the message of the costume, the content, the culture itself will describe his or her country. So that's the most important for me, Drew.
I agree with the two of you, and I just have to add one more thing. One consideration that I have: the girl should be able to walk and present the costume with ease. So without further ado, let's
Yeah,
discuss.
because true. Because by the way,
Yes.
Drew, let me add, because there are costumes
Okay.
who are heavy looking, you know what I mean? So sometimes the girl cannot even walk properly because of the costume, the big costumes, the heavy costumes. So it adds up burden to them on how to pose and how to carry themselves, you know, sometimes. And I think people should somehow the designer somehow should consider how heavy it is. If it is like somehow girl could carry the costumes and so on. But nonetheless, you know, there's always a story of the costumes they are wearing. And
Yes. Okay. So now, without further ado, let's discuss the costumes that really struck us the most. So, first costume in mind that you still think about at this very moment, Stephen.
I'm very clear with this one, actually. Even if you ask me on the spot, for me, the costume that still that struck me the most and is the most impactful is the costume of Miss Cameroon. Um, because it's really very reflective of what Cameroon and basically what Africa, is about. When I haven't, pardon my ignorance, maybe I am wrong with this one, but I haven't encountered an African country winning the best national costume in Miss Universe stage. Maybe there was before I was born, or I don't know, but it has always been like either an Asian country or a Latina country and a few European countries maybe in the past years. But for an African country to win the best national costume, it's very rare. And I think Cameroon was able to bring what, and she's the first delegate from Cameroon as well.
Yeah.
So I think that helps. That is also one advantage for her because, wow, here comes Cameroon and she was wearing a lion costume and wow, that's impactful. And I'm so clear with this one. It's definitely Cameroon. If it's not through popular vote or whatnot, I hope that the Miss Universe organization will appreciate the costume of Miss Cameroon this year and give it to her, the best national costume award.
Yes, and Stephen, not just one, but 3 lions.
3 lions, but we also had like 3 birds last year with Miss Philippines and she won best
Yes.
national.
And what I like about Cameroon's costume is that the fact that she's the first Miss Cameroon to ever grace the Miss Universe stage. So what an impact to introduce Cameroon to the audience of Miss Universe. Amir, what can you say about Miss Cameroon's costume?
yeah, I actually like the Miss Cameroon costume. It really reflects the culture of Cameroon. And I heard it's a Filipino designer, right? A
Oh,
Filipino
really?
designer. So, yeah, so kudos to the Filipino designer who made the national for Cameroon. He's doing well. Yes.
Oh, wow.
I like
didn't know.
his-
I know
her.
Miss Cameroon has so many Filipino connections, but I didn't know that the designer of her national costume is Filipino. Do you know the name so that we could at least, tell them
Sorry, I'm not
about?
familiar with the name, but I think
No.
Drew can have search right now the name of the designer for the Miss Cameroon national costume. And to add up Cameroon costume, to answer your question also, Drew, I also like Mexico costume. And it's
Okay,
because
Mexico.
it's so colorful. It describes the personality of Indian people, happy, bubbly, every time they have festivals. So I like the color. The vibes is very good. That's something that I look into. And also there are costumes who could easily be identified as representative of a country like India, Japan, Korea. So these are very,
Okay, I have to stop you, Amir.
okay.
Let's do it slowly.
Okay.
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 So the next costume that we will
I'm just
discuss
excited.
is Mexico's costume. So just a brief background. Mexico's costume won the best costume award in the Mexicana Universal contest. So we've already seen it before, but the way she presented it on the Miss Universe stage was very impactful. And go, Amir.
Yes, I agree, Drew. That's one thing also I'd like about the presentation of Miss Mexico with her national costume. She brings the national costume with too much life. happiness, good vibes, you know. So that's one thing I like about her presentation.
Drew,
Okay,
someone
so
just mentioned the name of the designer of Cameroon's costume in our chat box. They say it's Mr. Kennedy Gasper.
so let's find it so we could flash. I'm sorry. There.
They
It's
say that
Mr. Kennedy
the
Gasper.
Oh, it's Kennedy Gasper. So congratulations, Kennedy.
designer student from Isabela. Wow,
Cameron's costume is made by a 20-year-old fashion design student from Isabela.
20-year-old.
Good job, good job.
Good job. And actually, Drew, I heard he is having a campaign because he have no short of funds.
Mhm.
I think I read some article about it. Kudos to him.
Okay. So
Good
we've
job.
discussed Cameroon and Mexico. Okay, the next costume I have to add that really struck me the most, I still think about it right now, is Miss India's costume.
Of course,
Now,
yeah.
Miss India's costume is not that big. It's not the big one. It's not the flashy one, but it's the most sophisticated, I must say,
I
in
know,
this batch.
It's
And
the kind of costume that would win Best National Costume in Miss International, actually.
yes, I agree. And one thing that I like about the costume is that it gave me goosebumps this morning when I saw her on stage, and it reminded me of Sushmita Sen's farewell walk gown in 1995. So all the look overall, it's Miss Universe, it's crown worthy. So kudos to Miss India and her team.
Yeah, it's
So
very
what can you
simple.
say about her costume?
Very simple, very elegant, very sophisticated, very India. You know, when we were
Yeah.
doing we were chatting actually while watching the live, I was like, India, you know, because it's just wow, you know, even though we have already seen huge costumes before her, and then here comes a very simple costume, but still you will be compelled to shout India because it's just so beautiful. It's so, I don't know, like this is one thing that I also I wonder why sometimes when in other pageants, you know, the Indian costumes tend to be so huge with huge circles and whatnot, when in fact they could actually just do a simpler version, just like what Adeline wore today, but still the impact is amazing. But I think it has also something to do with Adeline herself, because she has this quiet charisma that will draw you to her. I don't know. I think not just national costume. I think this woman is crown worthy of Miss Universe. We'll watch out for tomorrow's preliminary competition. Beautiful. Drew, you're mute.
Yeah, Amir, the next costume that you want to share.
Because
It's
Amir,
actually-
you have so many costumes that you really love.
It's actually India that I told you. But yeah, to add up India, it's a cut. Regardless whether there's a name or screen name on screen, you could easily identify that it's a costume for India. That's what I like about it. Aside from the the presentation of Adeline was so sophisticated, and she really walks it with elegance. So I love it. I love it, Drew, in his costume.
Okay, next costume, Stephen.
Oh, should I mention it now? Because maybe you guys would like to mention her. It's Myanmar.
Okay, go.
Myanmar.
We love Myanmar's costume.
Yeah.
Go, Stephen.
I think it's had something to do with, even though I think it's a blessing in disguise that she lost her costume or her luggage that had her original costume, because this alternative costume that she wore is also very sophisticated, just like Miss India. And at the end, when she just quietly showed that pray for Myanmar,
Pray for Myanmar.
banner, it's just so, it makes me so emotional, you know, because that's the kind of voice that we would like to hear, you know, a quiet resilience, you know, very simple presentation. You don't need to create a scene just to be heard. And that's what Miss Myanmar did. And I think that's also one thing that Miss Universe really appreciates, because you don't need to act like an activist or something, but you have to act with dignity. And yes, when Miss Myanmar presented her national costume and her message to the world, I think it really hit my heart, and I really appreciate it. And I hope that the Miss Universe organization would also appreciate that one. If Cameroon doesn't win this best national costume, I hope Myanmar gets it.
Yeah. For me, her costume and presentation and that banner was powerful. Just one word, powerful. Amir.
Yeah, the same with you, Drew. It's so powerful. The statement of "Pray for Myanmar" is very, powerful and impactful. And I was like emotional also when I was able to watch her presentation, because I feel how difficult it is for her to look for another costume. Then it's so difficult. But yeah, she was able to make it. And I was actually teary-eyed when I was watching her walking during the presentation. It's not just because of the, she lose her baggage, but also the message actually that she brought to her costume, that it would somehow, it would give me realize how difficult it is now to her country, having the situation now in Myanmar. But yeah, it's not all about, the costume itself, but it's also the message of the costume she brought into. That's why I like it.
Okay, so we discussed Cameroon, India, Mexico, and Myanmar. Next name on our list, Amir?
Oh, I don't know, but I just find it so beautiful. Paraguay.
Oh, yes. Paraguay's
For
costume.
me,
What
sobrang
about
linis
her
kasi.
costume?
Sobrang linis. Like, I feel it's so refreshing, breathtaking. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think on the P side, letter P sides, most of the girls are wearing a sexy costumes. And she comes out with a very clean and clean costume, so breathtaking costume. I love it. I love the design. I love how she did the representation. It's so flawless, actually.
It's very
Stephen.
simple, actually. Yeah, well, I do agree. Like, Paraguay is actually on my list. If I show it to you.
You have this. I don't have
Kailangan
this.
may pruweba.
Maybe some people might be thinking that I'm just agreeing with you guys because you said it, but yeah, Paraguay is actually on my list, and she's in my top 10 actually. And I really like her costume because, the P group usually what's common about the P group is that usually they have wings and they have feathers, and there's always something at the back, right? Like Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Philippines, Puerto Rico, maybe Portugal is the only exception among the P groups, and even Poland had wings as well. So yeah, I like it. Like, I agree with Amir. It's the neatness of the costume that I really really appreciate with Miss Paraguay. And if there is I have 3 other Latin countries on my list that probably could probably win the best national costume award. Mexico is already there, and Paraguay is another one, and the other one would be Colombia. Maybe we'll discuss about Colombia later on.
Yes.
Before we discuss
Yes,
Colombia, let me add first, Drew. You know what I like about the costume of Paraguay? I remember kasi during the time, Iris, Miss France, parang ganun siya eh.
Yes.
Parang ganun yung color, yung presentation. Parang naalala ko yung kay Iris before. Tama ba?
Yes.
So Miss
Yes.
France. So, parang yun yung nakikita ko sa costume niya. Parang, it's just so simple and breathtaking. Parang ganun.
Yeah, and it's like
malinis.
na, it's just covering the right spots, like it's not the body is not overly covered, and it's just showing, just enough skin, the balance is just there. Yeah, that's true, Amir. Now that you mentioned about Iris' national costume.
Yeah. I just remember it, Stephen. Kaya sabi ko,
and I remember favorite niyang dalawa si Iris, especially during the national costume.
Yes, of course. Iris' national costume was the very reason why I chose her as my winner in Miss Universe in the prediction.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
Steve.
so now let's proceed to Miss Colombia. So Stephen, what about Miss Colombia's costume?
Well, you see, Cameroon was before Colombia, like few countries before Colombia. So I thought Cameroon already had it in the bag, and then came Miss Colombia. And we all know Colombians always deliver when it comes to national costumes. And what I like about it is that I have seen so many Colombian national costumes, by the way, in Miss International stage and even on online with the Miss Universe and other pageants. This one, I like the way she presented. It's more about the presentation actually that I really appreciate with Miss Colombia, and the textile, the color is just it's not too busy. It should look busy, but it didn't appear busy. You know what I mean? Because it's the way she presented herself and the way it was actually executed on stage. And she actually looked refreshing there, and the body, oh my goodness, like she knows her strength. And there you go. Yeah, see that costume, it's beautiful, wonderful.
Okay, the next costume that I would like to discuss is Ukraine's costume. It was all white. It looked simple, but it was impactful. I like the intricate details of the paper cutting, and she was able to move seamlessly, like maayos na maayos, and she looked very elegant. There's nothing else I could add.
Yeah,
I love it.
if Cameroon if Cameroon and Myanmar don't win national costume, I would rather have Ukraine as well as the winner of the national costume. Actually, it's in my top 5. Are we going to announce our top 5 later on, or should I say it now, or maybe later na lang?
Later.
Later, okay. Because Ukraine is in my top 5 in my favorite national costume, and yes, that's it. It's actually very artistic and very creative, and one thing that I appreciate when it comes to national costume is the intricate details, that the designer has put into it. And Ukraine's costume simply hit that one. Well, yeah. What about you, Amir? What can you say about Ukraine's costume?
Yeah, actually, before the presentation, because I already saw the pictures before, prior to the presentation, I actually like it, the details. Yeah, I actually like the details. And it's very unusual for Ukraine to have those types of costumes. Usually they have a very simple costumes, but this time they focus onto the details.
Well, I think among the European countries, Ukraine is the one that stood out.
Oh, so Drew is flashing it right now.
Yeah, the national costume. Yes, it's beautiful.
That's not Ukraine.
That was you. That was
Anyway, okay, the next costume
yes.
that you would like to discuss.
Okay, I'd like to
Impactful
discuss.
costume.
I'd like to discuss the costume of Spain. I don't know if you watched this costume of Spain, but I really love it. The details. Spain don't usually have those kind of costumes. It's very unique now because they were focused with some, like, I don't know, skirt. But this time, if you're able to have the full photo of the costume of Spain, you would definitely appreciate the intricate details. I was able to see it closer on the video, and I was like, yeah, the details is very good, and it's so unique for Spain to have those costume, to have the costume. It's very unusual for them to have the costume.
I heard that it was in honor of a 17th century painter in Spain. I forgot the name. I have to be very honest. Spain is not on my list, actually. But I just remember when the MC mentioned about the background of the national costume. And it's actually a very good costume, yeah. It's not just in my top 10, but still, who knows? Maybe the judges would appreciate it.
If you could have the picture of it, Steve, you could see somehow para siyang queenly.
Yeah, she's very statuesque beauty. She's very tall. That's why she was able to pull it through. So I won't be surprised if she would also be one of those being considered for the best national costume.
Okay, Stephen, the next costume that you wanted to discuss?
The next costume that I want to discuss, there's one actually I would like to discuss. It's Miss Vietnam.
Mhm. The cocoon.
The cocoon, because there were so many costumes actually with wherein the delegate had to carry everything, right? Because it has a cart and it has a wheel on it, and this is the only one among all of those costumes that needed help to carry that I probably appreciate, because it didn't look too much. So yes, she had to carry it with the aid of a wheel, but when the cocoon opened, it's the Vietnamese costume that we always see, and it's like showing the before and after. This silk costume came from this, and I also have to appreciate the fact that the reason why we have all this beautiful Vietnamese costume is because of silk, and it's also one of their biggest industries in Vietnam. So yeah, that's why I would like to discuss about Miss Vietnam's national costume, and
Amir.
also it's one of Rick Galvez's favorite costumes. I have to mention Rick's name here.
Yes.
Joe, I
Amir,
just had to show you the
what can
costume
you-
of Spain.
Yes,
There
yes.
it is. Yeah.
So I really love it. If you could see, personally, maybe the details actually. This is very unusual for Spain to have this type of costume. Usually, yung mga nakikita ko yung para pang Zamba. So this one is different and very unique.
Mhm. Amir, what can you say about Miss Vietnam's costume?
Miss Vietnam. Oh, actually, I saw the costume prior to the presentation, and I also like it. But ang pinaka nagustuhan ko lang is yung paglabas niya, bumulaga siya, parang nag-surprise, parang yun yung nagustuhan ko yung presentation. It itself is so Vietnam. You cannot deny it's so Vietnam. But the thing, yung presentation was great. I like the way she presents it. Yun yung gusto ko doon, yung presentation niya. Aside from
And
sa mga sinasabi.
And it's also very wise for them to use a white color, because it didn't look too much as well. So, yeah, it's like it has a very smooth transition from the white cocoon to the white aldi.
Okay, now I want to put forward the costume of Miss Peru, Janet
Mhm.
Maceta. So it was inspired by flamingo. So I love the wings. I love the dramatic presentation. It was ano ba? Breath of fresh air from all the feathers that we've seen. Kasi ginamitan niya ng pag-represent with her arms, and I love it. I think napapansin ng mga fans na medyo bumababa yung momentum ni Peru, but I think this national costume presentation solidified her front-runner status in the competition.
Actually,
Amir.
Drew, I actually agree with you. Actually, prior to Peru is Paraguay. I'm not wrong, right? So that's why when I see Paraguay's costume, I remember it. At the same time, nung lumabas na din si Peru, sabi ko, wow, ganda din. So parang, wow, ang gaganda ng mga costumes nila. Like, almost the P countries are wearing almost the same style of costumes.
Like I said,
No,
P group is like wings and feathers.
Yeah, but the thing is, these are baking costumes. Sobrang malinis. And the way she presented, sobrang class, na sobrang fierce, na sobrang ganda ng presentation ni Janik. I like the way she bring the costume into.
Okay. The next costume.
By the way,
so by-
before you
comment, I have a friend here who actually made a comment about Peru's national costume. His name is John, and he's the boss of Mario. Hi, Mario. Hi, John. He said that, hindi raw magulo and you just get it. No thesis. That's why he really liked Miss Peru's costume.
Pero napansin niyo ba, nung mag-represent na ang P ng national costume, nagbago ng music?
Mm.
Napansin niyo yun?
Siguro yung tape na una.
I'll have to check it later on.
Wala lang. Parang may sabi ko, wow, parang binabagay yata sa mga costume. Kasi nag-iba eh. So, it's just an observation. But anyway, wala naman yung basis or whatever. But the thing is, natuwa lang ako. There's a change of music. Suppose it starts with letter P, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, now that we are in the P group, there's another P costume that I want to discuss, and it's Miss Puerto Rico's costume.
Mhm.
So it was a tribute to a Puerto Rican astrologer. Yeah. Nakakatuwa yung transition niya na pagpasok niya parang may malaki lang ganyan. Pero nung tumalikod siya, there was a tribute. May portrait, and I like the color. She looked very queenly. And Stephen, what can you add to that?
Well, the thing about this national costume, not just in Miss Puerto Rico's costumes, mapapa-research ka eh. You'll be compelled to research on the lives of these people because how come they reach a point that you have to put a portrait of this person on your costume, And it's also another learning experience that we have whenever we watch shows like this. And yes, I didn't have the time to research because I was busy watching it, and then afterwards I had to prepare for this one. But maybe later on, I'm going to dig deeper into the history of that famous person that at the backside of Miss Puerto Rico's national costume. But aside from that, setting that aside, I have to say that it's also the way she carried everything. It's a huge costume. Probably it wouldn't pass in the Miss International standard because usually we have a limit when it comes to size. But this is Miss Universe, so it's totally acceptable, and the impact was there. And being the last country in the P group, you really have to set a huge impact, right? And she did it. She did it with flying colors, literally speaking as well, because the costume had lots of colors.
Now another costume that is in my list is Miss South Africa's costume.
South Africa.
So it's not the usual costume that we see from South Africa, but I love the meaning behind the costume. These are drawings from kids and their wishes and what they felt during the pandemic. And I love that she brought these drawings with her into the Miss Universe stage. It was very meaningful. Amir.
Of her South Africa's costume. Actually, tama ka, Drew, no? This is very unusual for South Africa to have this kind of costume. And the same thing with what you mentioned, the meaning of the costume. Because prior to the presentation, I was able to read the meaning of the costumes. And I really love, because somehow it's somehow related to parang may mga children. Tama ba ako? Yes, di ba? Yes. Okay, then therefore, yun yung na-appreciate ko doon. Sometimes kasi, sa costume, you need to appreciate it because of the content itself, the meaning of the costumes. It's not just a costume, but it has a story. So yun yung appreciate ko sa costume ni South Africa.
Okay. Before we discuss our top 5 national costumes, are there any other costumes that you have in your lists that you want
We
to
have to
discuss?
start with the Philippines national costumes. Otherwise, we'll be bashed to death by some people in here.
No. In fairness to Miss Philippines, let me speak first. Because I've heard so much comments on the Twitter right now, on the Instagram right now, and on the Facebook right now. I heard a lot of comments, no? Kudos to the team for doing the costume. Alam mo, sa short of span of time, like silang time na preparation. And then considering the pandemic situation, na-appreciate ko yung collaboration ng mga designers. That's one thing for sure na-appreciate ko yun. Especially mga bigating designers yung designer ni Miss Philippines. I could not mention names kasi hindi ko kabisado, baka mamali lang ako. But yun nga, may mga comments kasi na hindi nasuot yung crown. Yung crown daw. But I've heard some reasons, I don't know if it's confirmed that, kasi nasugatan daw siya or hindi kasya sa kanya. And kailangan nating tanggapin yun. Because hindi mo kailangang ipilit yun eh. Kung nasugatan na yung candidates or nasaktan na, bakit may pipilit pa, di ba? And besides, talagang ni Rabia, yung costume niya. Although nakikita ko naman din na sobrang mabigat yung costume niya, sobrang mataas, sobrang pero kahit paano nilaban niya yon. Nakita ko kung gaano siya nag-enjoy sa kanyang ginagawa. Kumbaga, she's doing herself. You know, she's trying to represent the costume na talagang ma-appreciate din ng mga Pinoy. Sana sana na lang talaga, kasi national costume, last year tayo yung nanalo best in national costume, Philippines eh. So maybe people are expecting again. But you know, there's always a different concept of the national costume.
Yes.
And I would agree that this time, they trying to try different costume. Kasi usual, it's Filipiniana. That's the very Philippine costume talaga, Filipiniana. But this time, they're trying to, parang ang kita ko ngayon, parang sa Victoria's Secret model eh. Especially yung kilos ni Rabia, yung mga turo-turo niya, yung paglalakad niya. She's feeling like on a Victoria's Secret. And I admire it. I like it. But the thing is, that is something unique now. Kasi nga, they're trying to create a costume that is somehow different from previous costumes that we usually see. But this time around, may touch of Pinoy. Yung kanyang what you call this, parang swimsuit costume na yung tawag mo doon, Dro, yung sa model, Victoria's Secret model costume. May touch of Pinoy. Still, there's a touch of Philippines. And, you know, yeah. So, I just hope everyone else, kasi marami ako nababasang medyo not so good comments. I think Filipinos should somehow, which I understand. Wala akong wala akong sama ng loob. Let's just give and pass for Rabia.
Yes. Ito naman yung take ko dyan, Amir. Sa haba nung minention mo. Was it the best costume among the rest? No, to be honest. But what I like the most about the national costume of Rabia and her presentation, she enjoyed and milked every second that she is on stage. And I remember when we asked her during our beauty talks about a hint on what will be her national costume, ang sabi niya, she would show more skin and she would be more playful. And I think she delivered and she successfully presented what she wanted to present to us for the national costume. And I think masaya si Rabia with the costume. That's all that matters. Stephen.
Ay, ako na. It's just really unfortunate na wala yung crown, di ba? Because that should have been, the whole costume should be the representation of our flag. The blue, the red, the 3 stars, and then yung crown dapat, di ba, yung 8 rays of the sun. Pero wala yung 8 rays of the sun. So that is really very unfortunate. That's regrettable to hear about the backstory. Kaya nga, dahil nasugatan nga siya. So, but yeah, it's part of the game, you know? It's really part of the game. That's why next time, let's just be more prepared when it comes to this, you know, so that we will have a backup plan. But there's no point of punishing our delegate for the whole thing because I think she delivered the money. And it's a cute costume actually, you know.
Actually, yes, Stephen. Alam mo yung nandun pa rin yung tuwa ko sa costume kasi something unique, something new to my eyes. Yeah.
That's true. I saw. Well, I think you sent me a complete version of the costume. Diba? And kaya nga dun, that's how I found out na marami palang kulang and you know, there's some parts were not there, but still, you know, considering the situation right now with the pandemic and probably it was really very difficult to carry all of those stuff and well, it's a lesson learned, but people should also consider the fact that the national costume score is not part of the scoring system in choosing the top 20 and top 21. It has always been tested and proven. So even Catriona Gray messed up her national costume presentation in 2018 kasi hindi nga nag-move yung wheels niya, di ba? So relax lang kayo guys, you know, just relax and don't be too paranoid and don't overanalyze because, you know, the national costume show is just one of the shows and we were entertained and that's the most important thing.
Okay, before
may add lang ako, Drew. Kasi may mga magandang comments na narinig lately. Sorry, let me drink first kasi medyo tense ako. Di kasi, alam mo, ang importante kasi dito is not just the costume. Yung presentation din. Although nakikita ko talaga nabibigatan si Rabia because talaga mabigat naman talaga yung costume niya. Pero alam mo yung effort niya na gawin, parang kay Catriona din yun, nung panahon ni Catriona na sobrang bigat, pero they're trying to make sure na talagang may present nila ng maayos, ng, alam mo yun, naalala ko yung sinabi ni Venus sa mga kahit ano pa man yung gown na yan, kung hindi man yan maganda or what, irarampa ko pa rin ng bonggang-bongga. So yun yung nakita kong attitude ni Rabia doon. But I'm not saying hindi maganda yung national costume. What I'm trying to kung ng iba, si Rabia nag-enjoy nagustuhan niya So let's just accept it. Ako nag-enjoy ako kasi sabi ko nga something new. And natuwa ako sa presentation niya because so Victoria's Secret nga talaga. And I've always wanted, again, Iris. May pagka-Iris.
Pero nasayangan lang talaga ako. Like, what is so sayang, was hindi masyado nakita yung legs ni Rabia sa presentation. But the original concept was to show more legs actually, but it was covered by the skirt. I don't know if it's called a skirt or should have been a back skirt. So yeah, but still, she was very playful, and it's the attitude on stage that matters the most.
And I just want to give a hug to Rabia right now. I love you, Rabia.
Okay. There's one country that I forgot to mention earlier. Dominican Republic. It was a very simple costume.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It was a very simple costume, but it was very impactful. Naalala ko agad yung sunflower kapag sinabi Dominican Republic. And it was a homage to the flower farm industry in Dominican Republic. And I think she did justice.
And I appreciate the fact that the size of the sunflower actually reflects the actual size of a sunflower. Not a huge version of it.
Correct. Kung ano yung normal na sunflower, yun na yun talaga yun.
Yeah.
And Drew, i-add ko lang, Drew. Sorry, Drew. Mag-add na
Yes,
ako
Amir.
ng I also admire Cambodia. Yung nagustuhan ko kay Cambodia is yung how she represent, yung presentation niya. Talagang feel niya. Alam mo yung sobrang tagal na niya kaya sa stage.
kahit pinapaalis na siya indirectly ng host. Diba?
Doon ako natuwa sa kanya kasi talagang dinala niya ng maayos yung costume. Siguro yung instruction sa kanya, turo sa kanya na talagang gawin mo eksena na to. So therefore, tinuloy na niya. Deadma siya sa kung pinapaalis na ba siya or what. Wala siya doon. Sobrang na-appreciate ko yung presentation niya. She feels it like a warrior.
Like Cambodia and Laos costume had some similarity, although like I'm sure they're not similar, but yung style. But I have to give credits to Miss Laos because she's the only one who actually followed the protocol for
for wearing a mask on stage.
For wearing a mask, so that's plus 10 points for you, Miss Laos, for wearing the mask. You're the only one.
Okay, now speaking of presentation, what can you say about Miss Malaysia's national costume presentation? I'll start with Stephen. Amir. Okay, go Amir.
Amir na lang, para at least kumonte na lang yung sasabihin ko.
Okay. Yun nga, sobrang ang hirap ng national costume niya. May ilang tao pa yata nagtulong-tulong para lang mailabas yung bahay na yon. Bahay bang tawag doon? Or should I say, ano ba yon? Parang malit na bahay. So, nahirapan. Di ko lang alam kasi kung may time limit ba dapat sa stage or meron ba talagang ano. Pero, nonetheless, yung costume, medyo hindi ko mag-gets yung, maganda siya, pero nahirapan lang akong intindihin kung ano ba ibig sabihin ng paglabas-pasok. Yun yung gusto kong malaman, Drew, na although paglabas niya, nag-different na yung costume niya, ano ba ibig sabihin nun? Kasi sometimes may story talaga. Kaya yun yung gusto kong malaman lang. But yeah, too much effort, sobrang effort yung costume. Lahat ng apat na lalaki bigat pa rin sa pagbitbit ng costume niya, but nonetheless, yeah, there's a story behind it. Gusto ko kang balikan yung story kasi hindi ko kasi nabasa yung story ng costume niya, kasi doon talaga ako napaisip, ano ba yung bakit nag-ikot, pag-ikot iba ng costume, ano ba ibig sabihin nun sa culture nila. Hindi, may yun ang medyo kailangan kong basahin pa talaga, kaya yun yung gusto kong balikan. And naman, hindi na nga siya nakapunta sa pinakaharap kasi nga, siyempre, may limit of time na siguro. So, yun, nagkakaproblema. So, isa lang gusto kong sabihin, sana next time, pag gumawa ng costume siguro, kailangan yung dalang-dala talaga ng babae at hindi nahihirapan. At the same time, alam nila yung value ng ng time. Kasi may time yun eh, may limit talaga siya. Nakikita ko kasi halos gusto na siyang hilain.
So, wait lang. I just want to address one comment that I saw. Medyo nakakabastos yung comment. Sino daw yung kalbo at ano karapatan mong mag-discuss about pageants? So, Stephen, please introduce yourself.
No, I don't need to prove myself to people like this, you know.
Okay, ako na lang mag-introduce for you. Yung tinatawag niyo pong kalbo ay licensing and marketing director ng Miss International. May karapatan po siyang mag-discuss about pageants. He's been covering pageants for Mississology since 2003, right? So, baka po hindi pa kayo pinapanganak, nag-discuss na po siya ng pageants. So,
I'm pretty sure that
respeto lang po.
person knows me. I'm pretty sure that person knows me and has a personal grudge against me. So I
Now,
wish that person happiness and good health to the whole family. At sana magkaroon.
Now, moving forward, there's one question for Stephen. So, Stephen,
Yeah.
should Miss Universe discourage this oversized and ridiculously huge national costumes?
I think it depends, Drew, because if it's going to be part of the live show, you are limited with time. So you really have to be very strict when it comes to the wearability of the national costume. Particularly because, for example, in Miss International, for example, one of the reasons why we have limits when it comes to height and size of the national costume is because all the girls had to be shown on stage at the same time. If the costume is too big, it would occupy a lot of space and it would disrupt the whole production of this show. So that's Miss International. However, in Miss Universe, usually the national costume presentation is not really a TV show. So you can just watch it on YouTube. So even if you are going to extend your time, it's still okay. So with regard to the huge national costume, hopefully, Miss Universe will have a very strict rules and regulation when it comes to that as well. Because sometimes it's just too much. Sometimes we just have to set a limit at a certain point so that we wouldn't give everyone we don't let some people abuse the whole beautiful concept of a national costume, because a costume should be something that can be worn. How can you wear a costume that needs 4 other people to carry it? I don't think that's a very definition of a costume. That's a props for a show or something, but it's not a costume at all. So to answer the question, hopefully they will set regulations on that one. I'm not sure if they have to limit or be strict about it, but at the same time it depends on the overall production needs of the national costume presentation.
Okay, I just have to add that there's a comment on my notes about Miss Malaysia. I love Miss Malaysia's costume when it was presented during her press con before she flew to USA. But after watching the national costume show earlier this morning, it was a production liability. So yun lang mako-comment ko. It was a production liability that people had to carry it instead of her just seamlessly presenting it. And it ate more time. So I agree with Stephen. I think Miss Universe should set regulations about the sizes of the costumes.
Yeah.
And now, we only have 7 minutes left. So I want to ask your top 5 best national costumes. So let's start with Amir.
Oh, in random order.
Yes.
In no particular order, sorry. Definitely, kung sino yung mga na-mention ko, yun na yun. Like, I like Mexico. I like Mexico, Paraguay, Spain. That's not 3. I like also Cameroon. That's 4. And my last one, let me check kung sino dun sa mga list. India. I like India.
Okay, so Cameroon, India, Mexico, Paraguay, and Spain.
India. Spain.
All right, Stephen.
Ay, here it is. May number 1. Alam niyo na yung number 1 ko, diba?
Ipakita mo muna yung paper mo.
Kasi parang draft siya eh. Parang kasi may mga alternate pa nga dito.
Okay.
But anyway, number 1 would be Cameroon, definitely. And my number 2 actually was Miss India, yung number 2 ko. But I think India is going to win Miss Universe anyway. So probably, lagay ko na lang siya sa baba. My number 1 is Cameroon, number 2 is India, number 3 is Myanmar, hopefully Myanmar. And then I have Ukraine in my top 5 as well. And I'm actually torn between Peru or Colombia among the Latinas. So I'm Peru, Colombia. Maybe Colombia. So
Okay,
yun.
Colombia. Okay, my top 5 in order. So number 1 for me is Miss India's costume. Number 2 is Peru. Number 3, Ukraine. Number 4, Vietnam. I love the reveal. And number 5, Myanmar. So that's it. So I think the 3 of us had India, only India.
Si India, baka
meron tayong tatlo.
Cameroon also drew. You didn't have Cameroon.
Kayong dalawa, you have Cameroon. I didn't have Cameroon in my top 5.
India wins the best national costume. It would send a message to the other national directors to actually reconsider bringing huge costumes, right? You know, at least go back to the basic. Balik tayo sa basic concept ng
Stephen, I have to add on that. May I add on that? Kasi sometimes yung costume ngayon is talagang iniiwan nila yan sa mga designers ng local designers. So therefore, doon pa lang sa local designers pa lang, dapat may regulation na yung national. Kasi 'di ba, minsan ngayon sa mga national competition, hinahayaan na nila yung mga local designers nila na mag-submit ng entries kung ano man yung mga costume na suit na kandidata. So therefore, doon pa lang mismo sa country nila, they should regulate. Alamin nila 'yon. But of course, tama ka nga, si Miss Universe, mag-regulate din siya ng rules or kung mga guidelines, kung ano ba yon, na para lang aware yung mga national directors ng bawat countries kung ano yung mga dapat lang. Nonetheless, lahat ng yan, malaki man, maliit, mabigat man, hindi, may makanya-kanya silang story dyan. So I respect on that.
So do we already have the official criteria or how the national costume award is going to be chosen? Baka bigla na lang magiging fan vote.
I think there's a voting. There's a voting for the national costume on the Miss Universe app and Lasana.
Okay, so malabong mananalo si Cameroon dyan.
Yeah, and so there you have it. That's our humble Miss Universe National Costume Show review. So we'd like to see you all again on Saturday. It's gonna be a surprise what time, but we will be having our Miss Universe 69th Miss Universe final review, and we will have a special guest, a famous pageant blogger. We will not reveal yet, so please tune in on Saturday. And before we end this live, what are your expectations for the prelims tomorrow? Let's start with Amir.
Before I say my expectation, I just like to greet Rick Galvez. Thank you for watching right now, Rick Galvez. He sent a message to me actually. But anyway, my expectation. So doon bukas malalaman kung sino talaga yung deserving na mananalo. So bukas makikita mo yung talagang mga palaban. Yan yung mga in-expect ko tomorrow, yung mga especially sa swimsuit competition. I'm expecting for some like yung mga lakad na panibagong pangalan na naman ang itawag dito or mga pasabog kumbaga. May mga pasabog yan tomorrow for sure. And at the same time, I'm so excited to watch girls doing their evening gown on stage. I'm so excited, especially because some of the designers are Filipinos. Hi Norman Malagia, one of the Filipino designers na nakilala ko, and Gian also. Hi again, Rek Galvez.
Stephen, what are your expectations for tomorrow's prelims?
Tomorrow's preliminary competition. Of course, first I have to send my my message of good luck to my friend Bianca Tirsin of Romania. I wish her the best during the presentation. Just be yourself, girl. You know how much the Miss International family, especially the 2018 class, love you, and also, of course, to my kababayan I'm from Bacolod and Miss Philippines is from Iloilo, and we are both Ilonggo speakers. I also wish her the best, and hopefully tomorrow she'll be able to regain her strength. Kasi kanina, according to Amir, nga umiyak raw siya sa Instagram live.
No,
But
Steven, correct me. Sorry. Nasabi lang din sa akin yun. Hindi ko
nasabi lang pala. Okay, yeah, she was
Pero,
crying.
yeah,
Hopefully she'll be able to regain her strength, and tomorrow is going to be like, laban kung laban, and that's Ilonggo pride as well and Filipino pride. So my expectation tomorrow in general, I think this time after a few years, I think the preliminary competition would matter na, because they reverted back into the original system of choosing the girls based on swimsuit and evening gown. So I think it would matter how the girls would perform in the preliminary competition. So you have to watch them out, because in the past 2 years I didn't really pay that much attention. Because yun nga, because of the speech. So kahit na gaano pa kagaling, no matter how good you are on stage, if your communication skills is not good, you still wouldn't make it into the top 20. Because there used to be a lot of really great performers on prelims, but didn't make it to the top 20 simply because of the thing that we could not see, which was the interview or the girls speaking parts. But because of the pandemic and because of the Mrs. Soldier Beauty Talks as well, we were able to get to know the girls and how they speak, how they actually expound certain topics. So somehow we could gauge whether this girl is fit to become Miss Universe or not. But we only interviewed, probably 1/3 or 1/4 of the total number of delegates. So you see, still, it's still anybody's ball game. But I already have girls in my heart. But tomorrow, if they are going to deliver well in the preliminary competition, then I think I will just seal my list and finalize who I think would win the Miss Universe competition.
Drew,
Okay.
before
And
you end
now-
this live, let me take
Amir, wait.
Drew before you end.
Okay, go.
Okay. Sorry, Drew. Sorry. Before you end, because maybe I will forget one. I just want to say thank you to Cambodia and hopefully later to Miss Romania for Mrs. Olgi Takeover. So I just like to say thank you to them.
Yes.
And of course, I just want to say I love you, Ibiang. Laban, fight lang, Rabia.
Yeah, I was about to say, please give me, I'll put the two of you on the spot. Please give me 5 girls that you are looking forward to see on the prelims.
Oh.
Stephen, go.
Oh, I already mentioned too Romania, because she's a friend, personal friend, not just, friend, online friend or something, but really a personal friend. Rabia, of course, because, Ilonggo. And the other 3, I don't know. Wala lang. Parang like the rest will just, sometimes, there will be surprises. Of course, India would be there because I will be looking forward to her performance on prelims, because so far she's the most eloquent girl. And India, who else? I also would like to see Bolivia's performance. Sana makabawi, because I really love Lenka, and else, Australia. We'll see. We'll see tomorrow.
Okay, so
I'm
that's
sure
fine.
there will be some who will na magbubulaga, and then we will completely change my list.
Yes, Amir, five girls
Yeah,
that you
okay.
are looking forward to see.
Yeah, I'm so excited for these 5 girls. I hope hindi nila ako ang tawag nundo. Hindi so ma-estimate sana yung expectations ko sa mga girls na to, no. I'd like to see Mexico, Puerto Rico, Romania, and India, and of course si Ibiang Rabia, Philippines.
Okay. Hindi na ako sasagot. Daya. Okay, for me, the 5 girls that I'm looking forward to. Okay, na-mention nyo na si Rabia at si Romania, so hindi ko na sila isasama sa 5 list ko. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Venezuela. We've talked to her. We know she can deliver in the interviews. I want to see how she would fare on stage. I'm also excited to see Peru. I hope na magtuloy-tuloy na yung moment niya from the national costume show. I'd like to see Puerto Rico. She's tall, she's statuesque, she looks like a model. She looks like Lucy Torres. She speaks so well. I'm excited to see her tomorrow. And some dark horses, Finland. I think Finland is a really strong competitor in a dark horse at the moment. And finally, Bolivia. I hope she'll deliver a good show tomorrow. So there's a question on the comments. What time yung prelims tomorrow? So it's gonna be 7 a.m. in the Philippines and 7 p.m. Florida time. So it will be streamed. If you're in the Philippines, it will be streamed on Lazada app and on Lazada's YouTube and Facebook pages. And if you are from the rest of the world, you can watch it on the Miss Universe app without delay. So that's it for today. We hope to see you again tomorrow on our Miss Universe final review episode. So thank you, Amir and Stephen, for joining me.
My
Thank you.
pleasure, Drew.
So goodbye, everyone, and take care. And let's cheer, everyone. Stop. Wag na tayong mag-bash. This moment, all the girls need are some really good in messages. So,
Yeah.
They can back me, wala naman sa namin makukuha eh.
Actually, Drew, I just want to say this time, ginawa na ni I mean, I'm speaking for sorry. I just want everyone to pray for Bea na lang talaga. Na talagang lumaban siya talaga for us. Let's just have the support for her and love her.
okay, so that's it. Good morning, everyone from Manila, and hope to see you again in another episode of Nostalgia Beauty Talks. Goodbye.
Bye.
Easy question I have to say.
Yes, ganyan na ganyan yung itsura niya.
Let's do it!
What the hell? Like, it's me. And you say, oh my God.
They was like, holy beep. What's this going on? Because even now I get like speechless.
Why is it important for a beauty queen to have a good?
You do not know how to speak your mind. You're not going to give your organization much credibility for what you're really fighting for.
Beauty queen doesn't mean perfection. Now I feel embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to do it because that's how I am. So I'm not gonna go.
My wave became the Miss International wave. Right, Steven?
I have become a patent.
Ito naman yung bumaba. Sabi ko, my God, kasi nas-grabe mo ng planet how. Tapos pag inaangat ko, hinihila niya. So ako, angat siya. Hila. Ganun kami.
My travels. I love my travels.
I would just want it to be that I gave something back that made them happy.
Money or love?
Love.